2 resume. And if a soldier scored low on one trait, the officer usually marked him down across the board too. One single impression was bleeding into every other judgment. Thorndike called it the halo effect, because it worked exactly like the halo in a religious painting. One glowing feature was enough to convince the observer that everything else about the person must be good too. And once researchers had a name for it, they started finding it absolutely everywhere. The most famous demonstration came decades later, in 1972, from psychologists Karen Dion, Ellen Burschard, and Elaine Hatfield. They showed people photographs of strangers, some rated conventionally attractive, some rated average, and asked participants to guess things about them. Not their appearance. Their personality. Were they kind? Were they successful? Would they make a good parent? Would their marriage last? The participants had no information about any of these people beyond a photograph. And yet, over and over, the attractive strangers were assumed to be warmer, more successful, more socially skilled, and more likely to live happy lives. The researchers gave the finding a name that stuck. What is beautiful is good. Not, what is beautiful looks good. What is beautiful is good. As if attractiveness were proof of an entire personality nobody had actually observed. Here's where it stops being a curiosity and starts being a problem, because the halo effect doesn't stay inside a psychology lab. It runs entire institutions. Take the courtroom. In a study by psychologists Harold Segal and Nancy Ostrom, mock jurors were given identical case files describing a burglary, with only one variable changed, a photo of them. Defendant, attractive in one version, average in the other. The attractive defendant got a significantly lighter recommended sentence. Same crime. Same evidence. Less punishment, just for having a more symmetrical face. Take the classroom. In a study by Karen Landy and David Segal, teachers were given the exact same handwritten essay to grade, but attached to half of them was a photo of an attractive student, and to the other half, a photo of a less attractive one. The identical essay scored higher when the attractive photo was attached. The words on the page hadn't changed. The perceived intelligence behind them had. Take the job market. Economists Daniel Hamermesh and Jeff Biddle ran the numbers. across thousands of real careers and found what they called a genuine beauty premium. Attractive people, on average, earned meaningfully more over a lifetime than equally qualified peers. Not because they worked harder. Because employers kept unconsciously reading competence into their face. Take an election. Researcher Alexander Todorov showed people photos of political candidates for just 1/10 of a second, not enough time to consciously judge anything, and asked them to guess who looked more competent. Their snap judgments, made in 1/10 of a second, predicted the actual outcome of the real election with striking accuracy. Courtrooms, classrooms, paychecks, elections. All of them quietly steered by the same single glitch in how the brain forms an impression. So why does the brain do this? Why does one good trait so easily convince us of 10 others we've never actually seen? The answer is that your brain hates loose ends. Forming a complete picture of a stranger, their competence, their honesty, their kindness, would take real time and real evidence. But your brain doesn't like operating on incomplete information. It wants a finished picture immediately. So it takes the one piece of information already in front of it, a face, a voice, a firm handshake, and uses it to autocomplete everything else. It's a shortcut. And most of the time, shortcuts are what let you function in a world with millions of strangers in it. You can't run a full background check on every person you meet. So your brain guesses, fast, cheap, and usually wrong in the details. There's likely a deeper, older reason this particular shortcut exists. For most of human history, clear skin, facial symmetry, and physical vitality were rough, imperfect signals of health. Of good genes, of a body that had survived parasites and famine and injury. Being drawn to those signals wasn't shallow. It was a survival instinct with no other information to go on. The problem is that instinct never updated for the modern world. It still fires just as strongly whether you're choosing a mate 10,000 years ago, or reading a resume in a fluorescent lit office in 2026. And once the first impression forms, it doesn't just sit there. It actively distorts everything that comes after it. If you've already decided someone is competent, you'll interpret their next ambiguous decision generously. If you've already decided someone is dumb, that same ambiguous decision reads as proof. The halo isn't just a first impression. It's a lens you keep looking through. But here's the twist, the halo effect isn't a permanent free pass. It has a failure mode. And the same researchers who found it also found exactly where it breaks. Remember that burglary study, where the attractive defendant got a lighter sentence? The same researchers ran it again, but this time, the crime was a swindle. A con. A fraud that used charm and appearance as the actual weapon. And the result flipped completely. The attractive defendant, in the fraud case, was punished more harshly than the average-looking one. Mock jurors reasoned that the same attractiveness that would normally earn trust had been weaponized to manipulate someone. The halo turned into a thorn. There's a similar reversal in Hiram. Psychologists Madeline Heilman and Michael Sachs found that attractive women were sometimes rated as less suitable for jobs coded as traditionally masculine, as though good looks and toughness couldn't possibly coexist in the evaluator's mind. So the halo effect isn't really about beauty being universally rewarded. It's about the brain building an entire story from a single detail, and that story can tip in either direction, as soon as the detail gets reinterpreted. That's what makes it so easy to miss in yourself. You're not aware of building a story. You just feel certain, instantly, that you already know who someone is. And it isn't only about faces. A confident tone of voice creates a halo around a person's ideas, regardless of whether the ideas are actually correct. A well-designed product creates a halo around an entire company, which is a large part of why one good release from a brand can make customers assume every other product they sell must be just as good, sight unseen. A firm handshake, a nice suit, an expensive watch, a prestigious university name on a resume, none of these are evidence of competence. All of them function as a halo, letting one signal stand in for 100 things you haven't actually checked. Even this video is fighting the halo effect right now. If the delivery sounds confident, you are more likely to assume every fact in it is accurate. That instinct is exactly the one this entire video has been describing. The only real defense is a strange kind of discomfort, forcing yourself to separate the evidence you actually have from the impression your brain has already quietly filled in for free. Ask what you actually know about someone, versus what you've simply assumed because of how they looked, how they sounded, or how certain they seemed. Most of the time, you'll find the gap between the two is a lot larger than it feels. The halo effect isn't proof that people are shallow. It's proof that the brain would rather finish a story quickly than leave it accurate and incomplete. One glowing detail, and the rest gets filled in for free, whether it's true or not. If this changed the way you look at first impressions, hit like and subscribe. Mind Shift Pod digs up the psychology and the science hiding behind the stories every culture somehow ends up telling. See you in the next one.